Where's the money come from for the Inland Waterways Trust Fund?
Senator, it's principally raised by a tax on the diesel fuel used in the tug and barge industry.
Yeah. Do you know the balance in that account off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'll be happy to provide that to you for the record.
Okay.
Exactly, but it is not insignificant.
I'm sorry?
The balance is not insignificant.
Okay. The proposed budget proposes not to spend it. Why would we? It can't be used for anything else. Why would we not spend it?
Sir, well, first of all, most of the needs that and I'm going to kind of back up with the Corps' capabilities. Most of the needs that we were currently capable of using that trust fund for were moved forward into the 25 spending plan. So a lot of that were taken care. A lot of those projects were funded in 25 pretty close to their full capabilities in the interim future. And it also, the advantage of the trust funds is that they're designed to be for monies to be raised to used, including out years, and over a longer period of time. So, we moved the funds forward into 25 for most of the projects that were currently ongoing, and then the projects, there were balances left that will be used in future years to fund projects as they come up and the Corps' capability come available.
So, Mr. Secretary, you're saying you don't need the money right now?
No, sir, we're going to need the money very soon.
I'm talking about right now. It's a timing issue?
I would say largely, sir, yes. That could we always use some, what we don't want to do is get into a situation where we're trying to spend money just because it's about to expire.
Agreed.
We'd rather find that, fund it as the projects need it as they go forward.
Where's the money?
Welcome back to the Heritage Hustle, where we pull back the curtain on the bureaucratic circus running this country into the ground, one bloated agency at a time. Today, we're reacting to a Senate hearing that ought to have every hard-working American fuming. So here we go again, Washington talking in circles about infrastructure and spending. This time, it's about our nation's waterways, yes, the arteries that keep American commerce alive, and how, somehow, in typical DC fashion, they've managed to bungle billions. Let's break this mess down.
Go forward.
Where's the money come from for the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund?
Sir, it's a value-based user fee that is charged against all cargoes entering or exiting the United States.
Okay. It's got some money in it, does it?
It does. And again, to be used over time.
Right. This proposed budget only proposes using $1.7 billion, is that right?
Yes, sir.
That's below the mark that we set, is it not?
Yes, sir.
How come?
Again, more of a timing issue. Some things were moved forward. Others, the president did put a focus on what were principal federal responsibilities, which is the maintenance and dredging of federal channels. And so, again, the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund is to be used over time for those projects.
Okay. Well, nobody's thinking about using this money for something else, are they?
No, sir.
Okay. General, I want to ask you a question about bringing these projects in on budget and on time. I know you said it was engineering. We've got to get the engineering right, project management right, team right. Let me give you an example. I'm not going to beat this to death, but and I'm just picking a project. We've got a lot of projects in Louisiana, just like Alaska has a lot of projects. Everybody has a lot of projects. But the Inland Harbor Navigation Canal in New Orleans. 10 years ago, we projected it would cost about $951 million. Now the cost is up to about $4.7 billion. and the course says it'll take 14 years. I mean, I understand inflation, but why? And I'm using this as an example.
So Senator, the Inner Harbor Navigation Canal down there, where the intercoastal waterway bisects and gets across and up onto the Mississippi River, is absolutely key. And you know the history that we've had on multiple lawsuits and injunctions over the years. A lot of it built from the lack of trust from the local communities, particularly the lower Ninth Ward.
I know.
So that cost estimate, and for everybody listening, that IHNC is also part of the flood protection for the greater New Orleans area, the river-facing gates. So it's imperative that we get this right. And what I told the district to do is to make sure that they have put in their cost estimates the risks associated. And most of those risks are most of those risks are elements of not having local support to build this. We want to get a team together.
How do you quantify that?
So that's what we owe you. You take a risk that it's going to get delayed, and then you try your best to put money associated with that would get delayed. So we would have loved to have built this thing for less than $1 billion 10 years ago, but the court cases have prevented us from doing that. The lack of trust from the citizens of the lower Ninth Ward have prevented us from doing that. So we're trying to build that trust so that we don't end up in this infinite loop of litigation.
I got it. All right, Senator Murkowski's here. I want to ask you one more question. And you're well aware of all this. For whatever reason, sea levels are rising. Our land in South Louisiana is sinking. Part of that is because over time, sediment becomes more and more compacted. Where did that sediment come from? That sediment came from the Mississippi River, which used to overflow, which was a blessing and a curse. But our Corps did an extraordinary job at our request of levying the Mississippi River. We weighed the cost and the benefit and said the right thing to do here is to levy the river. Well, that obviously stopped the sediment. Okay? And I'm not suggesting we take the levees down, by the way. What do we do? We're not going to take the levees down. The land's sinking. There's no new sediment coming in. The sediment's becoming more compacted, and the sea levels are rising. What would you do if you were king for a day? General, let me start with you, and then I'll ask the secretary.
Sure. Chairman Kennedy, so some of the projects are that we have a tremendous amount of non-structural projects going on in South Louisiana.
And I'm not asking you to comment on any particular project. I get all the politics and the wailing and the national gnashing of teeth, right, and everybody's bowels are in an uproar over which one's the best one. I get that. I'm just asking you, what approach should we take?
So raising homes to deal with sea level rise coming up and the land sinking, that non-structural approach is a tool that we're starting to execute at scale in southern Louisiana. What we're also taking a look at is supporting the state of Louisiana in whatever settlement diversion paths that it's choosing to take. They had applied for a permit and
granted it. Do you think settlement diversion works?
In some instances, I believe it does. It has to be done very carefully. And anytime we move the Mississippi River off from where it's going to someplace else, that's going to have tremendous forces. And so we have to take a look at that mindfully. But I believe we have the engineering expertise, and working in conjunction with the state, I believe that we can use that tool effectively.
Now, do on this sediment diversion, are you saying we should do it in small amounts?
Pilot
Or
projects,
larger amounts, or does that matter?
I think pilot projects to prove that we know what we think we know are always wise.
So you're thinking of a pilot project?
I think those,
We've done some.
we have done some.
We don't have enough pilots?
I'd owe you a better, more detailed answer on that.
Okay. What do you think, Mr. Secretary?
Senator, I certainly agree that the Corps' expertise in moving and doing sediment projects and doing a traditional Corps approach will be one of the tools that has to happen. I think we need to think about the other side of some of the stuff the Corps does, and that's using the regulatory program to create some incentives for the private sector to do positive things.
For example?
I'll use a perfect example in South Louisiana. Right now, in the 404 program, we cannot give a mitigation bank credit for preventing subsidence losses of wetlands. Those coastal wetlands losses are amounting to about the only losses nationally in wetlands resources. But we don't have a mechanism now between, I don't think it's law, it's really regulation, that would allow someone, for example, there are several large landowners down there that at a relatively low cost, a few $1 million, could, barrier the breaches that have been into the coastal wetlands for a long time, and that would stop some of the saltwater incursion, which accelerates the wetlands losses and some of the subsidence. But if they could sell credits for 404 purposes for elsewhere in Louisiana, that would provide the economic incentive for doing that. But we can do it, so now you've got people in South Louisiana going up to North Louisiana to buy credits, to do development.
Gotcha.
There's a mismatch. We need to find some more creative ways to use the regulatory system in a positive manner to help.
Okay. I want to sit down. We'll sit down and talk about that.
Absolutely, Senator.
Thank you for your creative thinking. I want to be sure I understand you, General. You think diversion works?
I believe there's cases where it can be part of the solution. Yes.
You think it can work in South Louisiana?
Yes.
Okay.
First off, Senator Kennedy asked the most common sense question of the whole session.
I'm trying to understand.
Where's the money going? Turns out the Inland Waterways
and
Trust Fund, which
all
we
of you,
pay into through diesel
NOMB are
taxes,
thinking
is
here,
full of cash.
where's the
But
money
these
come
bureaucrats
from
don't want to
the
touch it.
Inland
Why?
Waterways
Because,
Trust Fund?
and I quote, it's a timing
Senator,
issue.
principally
Let me
raised
translate
by the
that for
tax
you.
on
They've got the
the
money,
diesel fuel
they don't want to
used in
spend
the
it,
tug and barge
and they
industry.
don't know when they will.
Do you know the balance in that
Meanwhile,
account off the top of your
infrastructure
head?
decays
I don't know off
and
the top of my
jobs
head.
stall.
I would be happy to provide that
Imagine
to you for the
owning a
record.
business
Exactly,
and
but it's-
telling your employees,
it is not insignificant.
yeah, we've got
I'm
the
sorry?
cash,
The
but
number-
we're
the
waiting
balance
for
is
a
not
more
insignificant.
ideal moment to fix the leaking roof. That's not strategy, that's
The proposed
negligence.
budget proposes
Then
not
there's
to
the
spend
Harbor
it.
Maintenance Trust Fund.
Why-
We're
why
talking
would we-
billions brought in through cargo
It can't
fees,
be used
and
for
yet
anything
only
else.
$1.7
Why
billion
would
is
we
being
not spend
spent. Again,
the-
a timing
Well, first
issue.
of all,
Folks,
most
this
of
is
the
your
needs
government
that-
playing
with-
games
with-
with money that's supposed
hate
to fix
to kind of
crumbling
back up with the
ports and
Corps'
keep trade
capabilities.
flowing.
Most of
This
the
is what
needs
happens
were
when leadership
that
values
we
paper
were
pushing over
currently
project
capable of
execution.
using that
Our
trust fund
competitors
for-
are
were
building
moved
faster,
forward into the
smarter,
25
and leaner.
spending plan.
We're building
So
delays.
a lot of that
And
we're
just
taking
when you
care-
think
a lot
it
of
can't
those
get worse,
projects
we find
were
out the
funded
Inland
in
Harbor
25
Navigation Canal project in
to the-
New
pretty
Orleans
close to their
has
full
exploded in
capabilities
cost from
for
under $1
in the-
billion
in the
bucks
interim
to nearly
future.
$5 billion
And also the
in just a
advantage of the
decade.
trust funds and
Oh, and they say it'll take
is that
14 years.
they're designed to be
14 years
for monies
to
to
build a
be
canal.
raised to use,
the Hoover
including
Dam
out
was
years,
built in
you know,
5.
and over
Back
a longer
then,
period
we
of
had
time.
grit,
So,
we had urgency.
we
Today, we've
moved
got
the funds forward
excuses,
into 25
litigation, and
for
bureaucratic
most of the
stall
projects that were
tactics.
currently ongoing.
The general
And
blamed
then
lawsuits
the
and local
projects,
distrust.
you know, the money,
Now
there
listen,
were
I
balances
understand
left that will
communities
be
wanting a
used
say in big
future
projects.
years
But
to
when
fund
every shovel of
projects
dirt
as they come
triggers
up
an
and the Corps'
injunction,
capability
we've got a system that
become available.
encourages
So,
delay, not
Mr. Secretary,
delivery.
you're saying you don't need
This is the
money right now?
consequence of a government
No,
that's
sir, we're gonna
forgotten
need the
how to
money
lead,
very
and
soon.
a legal
I'm talking about
system
right
that
now.
rewards obstruction over
timing
outcome.
issue?
Senator
I would say
Kennedy
largely,
raised
sir,
a
yes.
damn good point about how
That
we've cut
there-
off the natural
Can we
sediment flow of
always
the
use
Mississippi. That sediment used to
what we
build
don't want to
land
do
in
is get into a
Louisiana.
situation
Now the
where we're
land is sinking,
trying to
sea
spend
levels
money
are rising,
just 'cause
and
it's
what's the
about to
government doing?
expire.
Holding pilot projects.
We'd rather
Pilot
find
projects.
the,
As if we
you know,
haven't
fund
had
it
a
as the
century of
projects
evidence
need it
staring
as
us in
they
the
go
face.
forward.
Where's the money
You
come
want bold leadership? You
from
want
for the Harbor
environmental
Maintenance
policy
Trust
that
Fund?
actually
Sir,
preserves
it's
the
a,
land and the people
value-based,
living on it? Then
user
stop
fee,
dragging your feet. Start
that
building.
is,
This
charged
country was
against
built by people
cargo-
who weren't
all
afraid
cargoes
of big
entering
jobs.
or
You know
exiting
what the difference is between
United
these
States.
bureaucrats and a real American contractor?
some money in it,
One
doesn't it?
talks
It
for
does.
14
And
years.
again,
the other
to be
lays
used
down
over time.
concrete in 14 days.
This
The
proposed
general
budget,
says they owe us better answers. You're
only
damn right
proposes
you do.
using
We're
1.7
paying your
billion, is
salary.
that right?
Start acting like it. The
That's
secretary floated an
below the-
idea about letting
the mark
private
that we set,
landowners
is it
restore
not?
wetlands in exchange for credit.
sir.
How
It's
come?
a solid idea, but they admit they can't implement
Again,
it because
it-
of
more of a
regulations.
timing issue. Some things
That's
were
the
moved
problem
forward,
in a nutshell.
others,
Good ideas are
the president
strangled
did
by
put a
red
focus
tape.
on what were
Ladies and
principal
gentlemen,
federal
South
responsibilities, which is
Louisiana is
maintenance
just the
and
beginning.
dredging of
If we keep
federal
ignoring
channels.
basic engineering,
And
common sense
so,
budgeting,
again,
and local
the
control,
Harbor Maintenance
the
Trust Fund
same
is to be used
disasters going to hit
over
the
time
Gulf, the coasts,
for
the
those
ports,
projects.
and then the heartland.
Well, nobody's
I've
thinking
got
about
to give
using
it to
this
Senator
money
Kennedy.
for something
While
else.
everyone else
No,
danced
sir.
around the issues, he asked what every taxpayer wants to know. Where's the money? Why aren't we building? Why is
General, I
everything
wanna ask
broken?
you a
That's
question,
leadership. That's
about
accountability. My fellow patriots, this
bringing
isn't
these
about just
projects
one
in
project or
on
one
budget
trust
and on
fund.
time.
It's about a
I know you
federal
said it
government
was-
that
it
collects
was
billions from our
engineering.
labor, then
We've gotta
sits
get the
on it while our
engineering right,
communities
project
flood, our
management
ports
right, team
crumble,
right.
and our workers wait.
Let me give you an
We
example. I'm
need
not gonna
reform.
beat this
We
to
need
death, but,
transparency. And
and
above
I'm just
all,
picking a
we need
project.
people
We've
in
got a lot of
power who
projects in
still
Louisiana,
believe in
just
the
like the
American
Alaska has a
ideal
lot of
of
projects.
getting things done
Everybody has a lot
on
of
time and
projects.
under
But
budget.
the Inland
If you're
Harbor
tired of the
Navigation
excuses,
Canal
tired of the
world,
waste, and tired of this government managing
10 years
decline
ago,
instead of building success,
we projected it
smash
would
that
cost
like
about
button, share this
$951
video,
million.
and let's make some noise.
Now
Because the
the cost
American
is up to
people
about
deserve better,
$4.7
and
billion.
we're here to hustle for our heritage.
And,
This is the
of
Heritage
course,
Hustle.
it'll take
God bless
14
you.
years.
God bless the great state of Louisiana.
I understand
and God bless
inflation,
these United
but-
States of America.